If you're looking to start a podcast and already have a podcast and you're looking for an affordable podcasting hosting site, Podbeam's your number one choice. Podbeam offers statistics with in-depth analytics to manage your podcast needs. Use the promo code podbeam.com/pbsignup and get a free month off. That's podbeam.com/pbsignup to get a free month off and see why 1,500 episodes have been shared all over the world in the past 11 years with over 3,000 subscribers that have chose Podbeam as their number one hosting site.
Podcast City Network.
Listener discretion is advised.
You're listening to the Everett Lee Show.
What's happening, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of the Everett Lee Show podcast. I am the Everett Lee. I want to give a shout out to everyone who follows me on social media and, of course, Podcast City Network's official host of the Everett Lee Show podcast. I want to apologize for my guest that was originally supposed to be on tonight, Ty Asbury from Between the Ropes Radio. We have rescheduled for next Tuesday night, so be sure to check that out in the posting when the times and the stream and everything in between there. But tonight, I got a great guest here, man. One of my favorite guests I've had on the podcast. Tonight, I have none other, standing by in quarantine, is none other than film director and producer Jeremiah Kipp. How you doing there tonight?
Doing good, man. I mean, quarantine. Today I watched Escape from New York and Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh,
so
wow.
Watching the classics.
That's great. That's great. I feel that a lot of people, they're catching up on a lot of things that they have not been able to catch up on here lately, with everything that's going on, everyone being in quarantine. Yeah. Being at home and stuff. I know it sucks for like everyone right now, but as you as a film director and producer, what's been going on since the last time I talked with you when I had you on, and how you handling things with this quarantine as a film director?
Well, last time we talked, I was about to enter into pre-production on a feature film to be shot out on the West Coast. Mm-hmm. And I was really looking forward to it because we finished shooting my previous feature, Slapface, last year.
Yes.
So that's all in post right now. We're still editing that film. So quarantine hasn't changed anything with that. It's still being edited. We did assembly. We test screened it. We're going back in and recutting Act 1. It's all looking really great. The editor, the producers, and I are all on the same page with the material. It's really great to have something to do while we're in the middle of this international crisis.
Right.
So, because every day being on the front line of this thing, living in New York, which is a heart of the pandemic in the United States, it's very good to be able to work on a project that you're passionate about and step away from the chaos of the world for a little while and make something creative. So Slapface is still in post, and that's all going forward, and that feels really good. But all the projects that I had going on in April, May, June, everything got pushed.
Wow.
Like, the biggest thing was the feature, which was an action horror movie with a good budget, interesting lead actor attached. And, we're all like developing special effects, and we're, having the West Coast people scouting locations and stuff. And then all that stuff got shut down. One of the producers is international. He can't even leave his country right now.
Wow.
So he, basically all the funding is temporarily, it's not like destroyed, but it is like pushed. Everything is pushed. And he's not gonna start throwing down, pay for pre-production stuff, like developing special effects stuff, until we know exactly when we can start. Like if we can start at the end of May, that's a different story than if we have to start at the end of June or July. It's like a lot depends on it. Like there's a huge crew. The actors attached to it, are they available? during the dates. What are the dates? We don't even know. So all that stuff is in limbo, and there's really nothing to be done about it. One of the producers said, well, why don't you just shot list? And I can do that. I've been shot listing, but it is a little bit like a creative writing assignment until things are a little bit more firm about what's going to happen next. So it's very weird to be not knowing when you're actually going to be doing the thing that you were hired to do. Making a movie in the grand scheme of things is not as important as facing off an international health crisis. It's like the doctor. A friend of mine, I have this friend, she's an actress. She's 21 years old, 22, really young person. And she's one of those people that kind of doesn't quite know what she wants to do with her life. It's kind of like, oh, am I going to be an actor? Oh, well, she was like a nurse's assistant. Just as maybe I'll try that out and see what's going on. And now she's working at the hospital every day or every other day doing overnights. Yeah. And sending me messages saying stuff like, 6 people died in my ward last night. We don't have enough gloves. Shit like that. Yeah. So that puts my movie was postponed into perspective. I'm not, when I put on a mask and gloves and go outside is not the same thing as putting on a mask and gloves and goggles and the whole doctor's outfit.
Right.
And trying to save people's lives, like older people who are at risk or people with chest problems that are at risk. But the thing I'll say about this actor is that she was kind of not sure what she wanted to do with her life, and this pandemic has given her an incredibly strong sense of purpose. So what I try to do is just offer her complete unconditional support. Right. To let her know that I'm thinking of her, that I care about her, that she's a wonderful person, that what she's doing is important, and that it's all worth the pursuit of it. Now, to my friends and my colleagues who work on movies and television and stuff like that, it's like there's something, it's like what do people do when they're shut up and self-isolating? They're watching Netflix, they're watching movies, they're listening to music. Yeah. They're playing board games and they're talking to their families and doing all this other stuff. But but the arts are a huge source of comfort in times of crisis. I remember I grew up with my grandparents, and they lived during the Great Depression. Right. And I remember that my grandfather was always very passionate about horror films. And when he saw King Kong and Frankenstein and Dracula and the Wolfman, it was a way for him to get his mind off of living through the Great Depression and not having enough food. These monsters allowed him to step outside of his own reality for a little while and be entertained by something that was beyond. And I think that movies, for me right now, in this time of not being able to do much, exercise, at home is great, and cooking food is great, but it's been a great source of comfort watching movies. Right. And the stuff I've been watching a lot lately have been B-movie stuff. I was watching a lot of Vin Diesel movies. I was watching all the Chronicles of Riddick and Pitch Black. And then lately I've been on a Jean-Claude Van Damme kick, watching Bloodsport and Lionheart, which I love. Those movies are fantastic. I haven't seen those movies in a long time, and I was reminded why Van Damme became a star. He's so different. Schwarzenegger and Stallone were the big action heroes in the 80s. Yeah. And Van Damme was so peculiar. He had that weird accent. He had a high-pitched, weird voice. And then when he's in Bloodsport, the moves that he's... that movie is there's no plot. It's really just nonstop fighting. Right. And you see him move, and you're just dazzled by his abilities. And he's weirdly sensitive and vulnerable in the scenes where he's not fighting, which is very European of him. Yeah. So movies, I'm not looking down my nose at what we do when I'm talking about the nurses and doctors and the people in the grocery stores who are all being exposed to the virus every single day.
Yeah.
But for everyone else who's like bored and shut in and trying to do their civic duty and trying to help their fellow people by staying indoors and quarantining, it's like entertainment stems off the boredom and keeps the mind active and stuff like that. So
yeah.
So I don't negate what I do for a living. You know, it's like all that stuff is on hold, but
yeah.
But I've always thought that movies were a great source of comfort, and especially now, like when I'm looking for comfort, I'm looking at John Carpenter and Vin Diesel and Van Damme, which really matters. The other thing I've been doing, to answer your question, is there are all these actors who have nothing to do,
right?
And because they can't act in films or plays or audition. I mean, they can maybe audition for something, but they don't know when it's going to be.
Right.
And they're all like, what do I do with my talent? I was thinking about that. And I was talking to a singer, songwriter, filmmaker friend of mine named Lindsay Catt, who, and we were just like, how can we put these people to work? Like, what can we do? There has to be some way that we can, you know, we have cellular phones and we know editors, we know musicians. I'm sure that we can get people to self-tape something on their phone, and then send it into our editor and cut it together, and then drop in some music and make a film.
Right.
So, so we did an experiment with like for years I always kind of wanted to get a group of actors together and do Edgar Allan Poe's The Bells and cut it together, like 20 different actors doing it. And but it's for various reasons I never did. And then here we are, stuck at home with nothing to do, and I was, you know, like, how do we use this, you know, how can we create something anyway? And I was like, that Bells project, you know, it's like, let's do that. So I put it out on social media saying, like, if anybody wants to act in this thing, let me know, thinking maybe 5 or 6 people would want to do it. And within like 20 minutes, there were too many people, you know, like we had more people that wanted to get involved than we could actually use in the piece. So we got like 20 people to tape, and then we wound up using, I think, like 13 of them. We had to cut a lot of people. There was just no room for everybody.
Right.
And we put it on Facebook and Instagram and Vimeo and all that kind of stuff. And it turned out pretty good. I mean, like, it was a pretty entertaining little piece, and it was a good beta test for what we could do. So now I've got like 2 more of them in post, like being edited right now. Like, one was a script that was written by a writer named Susan Nolan, a very dark story called Jumper that we're going to hopefully put out early next week.
Right.
And then there's another poetry film, just because those are so easy to do. It's more romantic love poem, because I was like, all right, I think people also need a little bit of love right now, and maybe like let's give them something like that. Because like I did 2 very dark pieces, and let's do one that's a little bit. But even that one like kind of has because of where everybody's coming from. Yeah, it's a love poem, but it has kind of a dark undercurrent. Like when you're like the way that the actors interpreted it, because everybody's in a pretty dark mood right now, and kind of
pretty
dealing with feelings of isolation and sadness and fear. All that stuff went into this love poem. So that one kind of feels dark too. So, you know, like while we're in doing this, and I'm in my apartment unable to work with a group of people in pre-production making a feature film or whatever,
right, I
am able to get like a group of actors together with their cell phones and tape a little thing and put it out there on social media.
Yeah.
And the actors have derived great comfort from it. They've all said that doing these pieces, they're allowed to channel in all the stuff they're going through right now into this drama.
Right.
You know, which is a very healthy way of dealing with crisis.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we're all dealing with a lot of internal shit right now. You know, like this is stuff where, like, as we go through our day, we go through a wave of emotions all over the place. I know I myself, like, you know, I might wake up in the morning and be in a phenomenal mood and be like, today I'm going to do also. And then, like, I might hit thresholds of boredom and sadness and anger.
Yeah.
And then I might fall back into being excited again about working on this stuff, like, you know, working creatively. that's where I'm at right now. It's a very long answer to your question, but it's like, while we're unable to do anything, I just believe in the power of being creative. And I like group activities. It's one of the reasons I got into filmmaking.
Right.
So I don't credit myself as director on these things I'm doing right now. I just say produced by Jeremiah, and get these people together, because there's nothing, I can't direct it, it's like I can only cast it and suggest things and then let people run with their creativity. And for the most part, people's imaginations have been incredibly wild and ready to play.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. You sound like you've been really busy, which is great. And I think I agree with everything that you said right there, because I feel that with everything going on, people trying to occupy their time, and there's stuff that they can find and discover which they probably didn't know was out there, or they had time to actually go back, like yourself, go back and watch Jean-Claude Van Damme movies and Vin Diesel. I remember you posting up you watched the Pitch Black, the Chronicles of Riddick.
Oh, Pitch Black is so good.
Yeah, Pitch Black, man. When I first heard about that movie coming out back in 1999 or 2000, I said to myself,
2000,
yeah. I said to myself, this movie looks like it's gonna be good. And then of course, at the critics at that time are like, this movie sucks, and I'm like, really? So I rented it at the local video store back when you still rent movies. Went and bought.
Oh right,
yeah. I've rented the VHS of Pitch Black. The cover was like just awesome. So
good.
I took it home, watched it, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, I was amazed by special effects and the story, and I just loved how Vin Diesel's character, just his response to everything. It's like, where's Toombs? Which half? It's just great.
The dialogue is so good.
Yeah,
it's so
the dialogue
faulty.
is so good. Yeah. It is like I like when he's walking with a group of people in Pitch Black, and he's behind in the one the artist of the French guy drops that bottle of wine. And he picks it up and he introduces himself, and he's like, Richard B. Riddick, serial killer. Just I love that stuff, man. I just love that.
That's so good.
Yeah.
My favorite scene is they're walking through, and Toombs says, "How does it look?" And Vin Diesel goes, "Looks clear." And they're about to go, and a monster jumps out of them and then goes away. He's like, I thought you said it was clear. I said it looks clear. Well, how does it look now? Looks clear.
I love that. I love the dialogue in that and stuff. It's
really good writing.
Yeah,
the guy who wrote The Fugitive, great writer, David Twohy. Really talented, and Pitch Black was kind of his baby. It was one of his first directing jobs. Really great.
Yeah. I loved how that it was shot, just with with the special effects, and just how they did things, and you had those pop out moments and stuff, and just the actors were great, man. The actors were great
cats.
And one of the things that Vin Diesel and the character John,
John, that's great.
They're both in the Fast and Furious franchise, because the character John played the villain in Too Fast, Too Furious. Remember that?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
That's right. John's the villain. I forgot about that.
Yeah, John's the villain. Yeah, he played the villain in Too Fast, Too Furious, and of course Vin Diesel's been
not in it.
Yeah, he wasn't in it. That's the only one out of all like 8 films or 9 films that they have that he's not been in, was that one there. But Chronicles of Riddick, I thought that was a pretty neat take there, what they did with that. They had some pretty good lines in that one.
I really liked that movie.
Yeah.
I love Chronicles of Riddick. I thought it was unjustly panned. I thought it was a great space opera with a great, amazing cast. Carl Urban from Dredd and Tandy Newton from Westworld, an amazing cast.
Yeah.
Great script. It was just a wild ride. Like, it was a bigger budget, like super galactic thing. And I don't know why audiences didn't click with it. I thought it was fantastic. I was like, yeah, bring on like more Riddick films.
Yeah.
They had a couple of PS4 games for Riddick that were pretty good, and
oh yeah.
And then the Riddick sequel happened a few years later with a much lower budget, but still a pretty good movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have the animated Fury one, Dark Fury, that filled in the gap.
Never saw that one. I gotta check that out.
You haven't seen it?
No, I never saw Dark Fury. You know, I've seen everything else in the Riddick storyline.
Yeah,
but not that one. But I want to. It looks great.
It is. And the way they did the animation with the Japanese animation for that, it bridges. It's a little short story that bridges when they get off the planet at the end of Pitch Black. When they get off the planet, it shows what happens when they get off the planet and what happens right before the Chronicles of Riddick starts. It's a little, cool. It fills in the gap there, like what happened, and they got, of course, Vin Diesel and the actor and actress who voiced their animated character, and some of the characters, a couple of the characters that you see in the animated Dark Fury, you get to see them in Chronicles of Riddick, like the bounty hunter. That's
the bounty hunter guy. Yeah, I can't remember his name, but
and it's been forever.
He's a fantastic character, though. You know. I remember him really well. Like he's, I remember it's like, I should have taken the money. That guy.
I should have taken the money. Yeah, he was great, and put on a fresh pair of panties. I love that. And I like how in Chronicles of Riddick how they drop Butcher Bay, and of course the video game.
Which is an amazing game.
I have that. That's
those games were really well cast too. And one of them, Ron Perlman shows up, and the other one, Lance Henriksen shows up as a voice. It's, really surprisingly well cast for one of these games, which is really cool.
Yeah, it surprised me because I know Butcher Bay first came out on the Xbox One.
That's right.
And then it was out there for a while. Then PlayStation got a hold of it. Sony did, and put out Escape from Butcher Bay and I forget the
other one.
Yeah, the other one. So I have that. Yeah, Dark Athena, I think it was
Dark
called.
Athena, yeah.
I have both of those for the PS3, and I played the hell out of them. I liked sneaking up behind people and just taking them and just dragging them into the shadows, man. That stuff was great, man. You could creep around, it was that stealth game. And it took some time to do it, too, because I was trying to, on one of the levels, you had to get a trophy where if you got an achievement, the trophy for like not getting seen or doing anything, which was real hard. Right. I spent hours trying to do that, and I finally ended up doing that. But I love that trilogy. I love that franchise there with what they did.
Yeah, I know that Vin Diesel loves it too. No, he keeps trying to make more of them. I mean, I know that they have their cult audience, and including us. I would love to see more Riddick films. I know that he keeps trying to branch out. I guess he's got that Witch Hunter series right now, which I haven't seen yet. He wants to do more of those. So I don't know. I mean, I think Vin Diesel's heart is totally in the right place with these kind of films. I think he loves cool, interesting, weird genre films, and it's tough because like some of these movies, like the audience doesn't catch up with them until many years later. Yeah. Like John Carpenter's The Thing was a box office failure in 1982, and now everybody regards it as a classic, which it is.
Yeah.
And I mean, I do think that these Riddick movies, I hope that they are regarded someday as these wonderful, fantastic B-movie offerings because I think they're great. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I mean, I really applaud Vin Diesel for trying to push the envelope continually and trying to find new ways of telling these stories.
Yeah, and of course everyone's guilty pleasure, of course, is the Fast and Furious. I mean, no one,
go to guilty pleasure.
Yeah, it is. When they showed the trailer for the first Fast and Furious movie back in 2001, And when I saw Vin Diesel, I was in the theater there watching a movie at the time, and they showed the trailer for it. And I leaned over to my friend, and I'm like, look, I was like, it's the guy from Pitch Black. It's the guy from Pitch Black. And he's like, what? He's like, what movie? And I was like, Pitch Black. You got to see that, man. He's badass in it. He's going to be badass in this one, man. And he was. I mean, the first one was just great, you know? I mean,
the first one is my favorite.
Yeah.
But I've watched many of them. Like once The Rock showed up, I thought it got good again. But I haven't seen the last couple, so I have to catch up. I'm not up to speed on all my Fast and Furious movies. I know one of them, like there's some submarine that comes out of the ice or something like that. Like next time they'll be in outer space or something. Who the hell knows?
Yeah, they're gonna be sitting there. They're gonna be racing. They're gonna sit there and be racing probably like spaceships or something. You know? Right. Yeah, Fast and Furious.
They're all gonna go to outer space eventually. It's like Leprechaun in space. Friday the 13th Part 10. Jason X is in space. You know. They all gotta get there eventually.
I never did watch. It's funny you said I never did see Leprechaun in space. I never did see that.
Not missing anything, buddy.
That's good. That's good. I'm not missing anything there with that. But what's another movie? Oh yeah, I had my wife today. I was telling her about this one movie, and I said, you have to see this movie because it's suspenseful. The beginning gets me really hard because I'm a parent, but when it starts going and it's good. It's just a great suspenseful, keep you on your toes movie, and I'm talking about A Quiet Place. I watched that, had my wife watch that with me today. Yeah. That was something right there.
You on the edge of your seat, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The beginning of it really hurts me because the kid in the ship, man, and the guy that the father, I forget his name, but I love him in The Office. I love The Office.
Great actor.
Yeah, I guess he directed the movie.
He sure did.
He did a fantastic job directing it, and
that's quality film.
It is, and there's really little dialogue in the movie. You know, it's just,
something that's it's very visual. Mm-hmm. I mean, and then you're listening all the time. You know, you're constantly trying to listen for everything that's going on because there's so little dialogue, which I think is riveting. Yeah, really smart filmmaking.
Yeah, it's almost reminds me of Castaway a little bit because there's little dialogue in that movie when he was on the island.
Good comparison. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I think about Castaway a lot actually because I always thought it was a good movie, but living in self-isolation, you kind of want a soccer ball with a bloody handprint on it to talk to. It's I can totally understand that movie now with Tom Hanks talking to Wilson the whole time. Yeah, I'm you definitely want if you're by yourself, you definitely want to take an inanimate object and make a friend out of it because you're so. You'll go stir crazy otherwise. Which is really fascinating. I've thought a lot about Wilson the soccer ball ever since this pandemic has kicked in. Yeah. I bet. What is it? My job that I do, my 9-to-5 job. I work at work almost at a thrift store for the company I work for, which is almost like Goodwill, but not. But we've been closed, so I'm in there some days by myself, and I'm working and sorting things and stuff. I got music blasting and everything, and my coworkers that I know, they're in other areas working, and they're like, so what'd you do today? I was like, well, what I normally do, put stuff out and everything and stuff. So I almost went up, got the mannequins and staged them around like Will Smith, I Am Legend. And it had people just to talk to someone because it gets quiet in there, and you get some days
when I was working by myself, I got the radio blast and I'm blasting out to everything, and then I just like, I don't want to hear the radio. I just want quiet, just to concentrate. And then it's like I almost just take the mannequins and setting them up all over the place, just having like like Will Smith from I Am Legend. He walks into the video store.
Totally.
That's almost what I felt like doing. But then that came to a halt this week. So I'm pretty much I have pretty much a lot of time on my hands, and then my wife let me know. She's like, well, since you're going to be around the house more, here's a list.
Oh man! Yeah.
I thought I was Santa Claus there. I was like, she's like, well, you're not going to stay on that computer all day. I was like, of course not. It's like of course I'm going to be putting content out there though, but we compromise. So I think that works right there. So I told her, I said, I'm going to stay on a schedule like I normally have been. Like nothing's happened. I'm still going to stay on a schedule, get up the same time, fix my pot of coffee in the morning, sit down on the computer, go through, update stuff, check out stuff, and then when I'm done, like today, I was sitting there blasting on my CD player. I got a 101 CD disc changer. I was blasting a band that I like. I discovered on one of the Rock Band Guitar Hero games called the band's called The Sword. I was listening. I was jamming out to The Sword today, and then after it switched over to the next CD, all of a sudden Queen comes on. All of a sudden I hear it's funny, everything going on and stuff. The song I hear, I wanna break free. I'm like, yeah. I was telling people, I said a lot of people when I blast out my music on Sundays and just crank it. My neighbors love the music so much that they throw a brick through my window so they can hear it even better.
Oh man!
But I'll tell you one thing I've come across. I have Pluto TV. You ever heard of Pluto TV?
Heard of it? Yeah.
It's they got like certain channels for different genre of stuff, and they had one MTV channel called the Guy Code. It's mostly the like guy stuff for MTV. Well, here sometimes late at night they play a whole marathon of Beavis and Butthead. So I've been watching this week. I've been binge watching a lot of episodes of Beavis and Butthead, man. That because I grew up.
Oh man, well, dude, that's pretty cool stuff. No, I always thought they were really great. Yeah, they get under your skin in a good way. I love Beavis and Butthead. I think they're hilarious. Yeah, Queen reminds me. I just watched, I guess it was a week ago. I watched Highlander 1 and 2 again, and I'd forgotten that Queen did the soundtrack. And then I'm watching the movie, and it's like, how does it get any better than this? The movie opens with professional wrestling.
Yes, my favorite.
And then a couple minutes later, these two guys are sword fighting in a parking garage with the sprinklers going. And then you're in the Highlands of Scotland, and throughout, Queen is playing, and you're like, how does it get any better than this? Highlander is fantastic. And I was like, let me revisit Highlander 2, and things go right down the shitter immediately with that one. I mean, it's like you just wonder what pre-production was like on Highlander 2. It's like, what? The story is just in shambles. It's like Sean Connery somehow is back. Yeah. Even though his character got killed off hundreds of years ago. And, they're aliens now or some shit like that. I know. I don't know. It makes no sense.
Yeah, it made no sense. The way I look at Highlander 2, Jeremiah, is that it's the redheaded stepchild of the movies that you know it's there, but you don't acknowledge it. It's there.
Yeah, I acknowledged it, and that was my first mistake.
Now I
hadn't seen that movie since I saw it in the theater, when it came out, and I remember hating it because we all like my friends and I were all excited. We're like, Highlander 2. We all loved the first one.
Yeah.
And we hated it. And this is the second time I've seen that movie. I was like, how bad could it be? You know, it's like, and
yeah.
Oh man, it's a real turkey.
Yeah. But
not even the Queen songs can save Highlander 2.
No. No. Freddie Mercury can't save it with his amazing vocals. He can't do it.
No, man.
He can't do it. He can't do it. It was like anyone who's collected the movies, you know they have Highlander 2 just because they're at the set. It's one of those, it's like, okay, you got the whole set and you got Highlander 2 kind of like in the back, like right there. And it's like, right. Highlander 2. No, that's not. Because I have all 5 movies. I have all 5 of them. A lot of people don't know that's not, if they have not kept up with the franchise, is they did make a 5th one that had from the TV show Adrian Paul.
That guy, yeah. Adrian Paul, yeah. Mm-hmm. They had one with him and Christopher Lambert in it. Was that number 4 or 5? I'm not even sure. I saw that one.
Yeah, but, it was number 4. Number 4, In-Game. Highlander In-Game. It had Adrian Paul and Christopher, both Christopher Lambert in it. But you know what, out of that franchise, since you brought up Highlander, what gets me is that the villain in the first one, the Kurgan, Clancy Brown.
That's Brown.
He's the voice of Mr. Krabs on SpongeBob.
What? Oh my God, I did not know that.
Yeah, that's
incredible.
Yeah, that's what gets me. That's what gets me. That gets me.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And I
had no idea.
You didn't know he was Mr. Krabs?
No, I didn't. No, I know he does a lot of voice work, but I didn't know he was on SpongeBob. That's amazing.
Yeah, he's freaking Mr. Krabs. And when I heard he was Mr. Krabs, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, really, this guy? Are you freaking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me?
Oh my God.
Kurgan is the voice of Mr. Krabs because
that blows my mind.
Yeah, what's funny is I'm waiting on like an episode of SpongeBob where this like SpongeBob comes up, Mr. Krabs, I got a Krabby Patty or Mr. Krabs. Something happens, and all of a sudden he's like, like the line, my favorite line in Highlander, the first one was when the prostitute walks in his room. I'm Candy, and he's like, of course you are.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's so great in the Highlander.
Oh, he's
man.
Terrific.
He's been in a lot of movies. Shawshank Redemption.
Shawshank and Starship Troopers. Yeah. So many movies.
I know.
No, that dude has an amazing career.
Yeah, he's done a lot of movies, man. I love all the stuff that he's been in and what he's done.
He's so good.
But the Highlander, that's going to make me want to go back and visit that. Have you...
holds up. Highlander 1 holds up ridiculously well. Mm-hmm. Super entertaining movie. Mm-hmm. And weird. I mean, there's nothing else like it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something else like it out there. What about the third one? Did you like that one there?
I should revisit that. I saw it in a long time ago, and I remember liking it, but it's been like a million years. So now that I have time on my hands, mm-hmm. I was thinking I should revisit Highlander 3, where I think Mario Van Peebles is in it.
Yeah, he's the villain.
As one of the, So, from New Jack City.
Yep.
I gotta see it. It's been a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some stuff I want to go back and look at. I have a bookcase that has like a bunch of movies on it and stuff, and here recently I picked up like this big box set of like American gangster films that has everything from Scarface to Carlito's Way to what do you call it, the one movie with Johnny Depp and Christian
Johnny Brasco.
Yeah, I think that's in it. Donnie Brasco's in it. It's a whole like American gangster box.
Oh no, I know what you're talking about. Public Enemies.
Public Enemies. There you go. Yeah. It's like the gangster movies and stuff. I mean, mm-hmm. I didn't see. Believe it or not, I did not see Scarface until I was about. I'm 41. I didn't see Scarface until I was about 29.
Oh wow, man!
I was 29 years old.
Like
my little brother, my younger brother, younger than me, had the movie, and he's like, "You ever seen Scarface?" I was like, "No," because he had the poster. She's like, "We gotta watch it." So we sat down and watched it with them. I'm like, "This is great." Al Pacino, man, is so great, and
Al Pacino on fire. Yeah. I remember there were many years where like I'd be working with film crews and they'd all be quoting Scarface. You know, the Grip and Electric guys would be laying out cable and plugging in lights and just quoting Scarface. Say hello to my little friend and all that other stuff. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And then it was Michelle Pfeiffer's first.
Michelle Pfeiffer, yeah.
Film, man. Yeah, she was young in that movie too, man. But she had a pretty good career, you know, with having Catwoman. I mean, she probably knew different meaning to leather when I watched Batman Returns. I had to say that. Yeah, she she brought a different meaning to leather when I saw not Scarface, but Batman Returns, and that's a while back ago. I went back and watched the Christopher Nolan Batman's. Batman Begins, Dark Knight, Knight Rises, just to watch, and I enjoyed them. But I like to go back and watch the classics, though. I love the classics. I love those. Yeah. They don't get better than that, man.
Yeah, I was thinking about revisiting Jack Nicholson as the Joker back in that old Batman movie.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to see how that one holds up. I remember really enjoying it. Again, I haven't seen that movie since it first came out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been a long time. I can't tell you when the last time I seen that movie, but that's something I'd like to go back and visit again, just to watch there. And it's just so many things to like go back and sit back and watch again.
Totally.
You mentioned you saw was it Escape from New York?
Escape from New York. Oh man, well I love it still. I think it's a great movie.
Oh god.
You know, it's really good because you know, Snake Plissken is not white as snow. You know, he's a pretty dark protagonist, which is really great. Like he doesn't give a fuck. You know, it's like the only reason he's doing it is because he wants to survive. Really, it's like they inject him with the stuff. They're like, if you there's no way you're going to get out of this, Plissken. You know, if you try to escape, your arteries will explode or whatever. So, you know, Kurt Russell is kind of surly throughout the entire movie, which is kind of refreshing.
Yeah.
You know, definitely like a Riddick type of character where he's not like a great guy or anything, but he's like so badass and so cool. And like the cast in that movie is really great. You got Harry Dean Stanton and Lee Van Cleef and Isaac Hayes playing the Duke of New York. It's really cool cast. And the locations are really good. They filmed, I guess it was in, I think it was in Detroit or something like that. It wasn't in New York.
Right.
Or Cincinnati or something. You know, but like there was a big fire in the city, so it all feels like kind of burnt out and decimated. And the locations of that movie look really cool.
Yeah.
Good movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in a long time. I remember when I was a freshman. Yeah, I was sophomore in high school when Escape from L.A. came out, and I loved that one too, man. I loved the stuff that was in that one, and that was great. I mean, Kurt Russell, he was a badass. That's when I really liked Kurt Russell.
I think he's the best. I mean, like, what a fantastic action hero type of actor. Yeah, I love Kurt Russell. He's one of my favorite actors. Like now that Quentin Tarantino's using him, I'm like, perfect. You know, great. Always great to see. Like whenever Kurt Russell shows up in a movie, that movie is better.
Yeah.
You know, it was weird watching Escape from New York today because it starts out with the map of New York, and there's a digital, like they put a giant wall around it. Like New York is a prison and nobody gets out. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of right now. I mean, like people can leave New York right now, but they apparently like they have to be in quarantine. They have to be isolated in quarantine for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So the minute that somebody leaves New York, they gotta like be shut in for a while. Like in Rhode Island, there were a bunch of like rich New York people who went out to Newport being like, well, hide out in our mansions.
Yeah.
And, and then like apparently in Rhode Island, the police were knocking door to door being like, are you from New York? You gotta, you gotta lock yourself up for 2 weeks,
Yeah.
So it's just crazy to think about.
I heard.
But yeah, Escape from New York made me think about that.
Yeah, that does sound about it, because I was talking with a friend, and they're like, yeah, this is almost like Escape from New York, because New Yorkers are escaping, and I heard they were heading to Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and then more outbreaks started happening. And I was watching this one guy who does a podcast up in Boston up there. He does a wrestling podcast, and his new videos pop up on my phone every once in a while, and he's talking about he just threw a video out there to mention it, and he was like, New Yorkers, go back to New York, quit coming up this way. And they were coming down here to Florida, dude. They were coming.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. No, I was hearing all about like New Yorkers like heading straight for Florida, and it's just like, you're carrying the freaking virus, you idiot. Good job spreading it.
I know. It's ridiculous because they basically blocked off on the state line there. It's like, you're from New York, go back. And they would not let you in, because we're on lockdown too. We're on lockdown, dude. Mm-hmm. People are still going about their business like nothing. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, like I call back to my family in Rhode Island, and I'm hearing a lot of that too, where it's just kind of like, I went to, I was hanging out with my friends, whatever, I was driving around Cape Cod, and it's just like, man, it's like, didn't you read the memo? The memo said self-isolate. Boy. So I don't know, I know in New York, it's like, different planet right now. It's like, you look out the window and all you can see is like a post-apocalyptic sci-fi movie. Everybody's wearing like masks and gloves. Like, it is extremely weird out there. And like, everybody's bugging out, like the last time I was outside, it's like you see people cracking up, under the pressure of this thing. So it really is, it's like, I love horror movies and sci-fi movies, but, I always said I don't want to live in a horror sci-fi movie. But, like New York is definitely that right now. It's a fascinating time to be here because, it's just, people are under enormous pressure. And when people are under enormous pressure, they act really weird. So there's a lot of that going around right now.
Oh, I can imagine. I have a niece. She lives in New York, and I have a cousin. I think she lives. She commutes to her job. She's a veterinarian in New York, and
cool.
Yeah, she takes the Lincoln Tunnel every morning, and she put a video up. This was a couple months ago, or about a month ago. She put a video up of her driving through the Lincoln Tunnel. She said, "This is the quickest I've ever been through here at this time of the day." I was like, "Are you kidding me, man?" Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I was like, "Wow, that's amazing. That's crazy, man. That's crazy."
No, it's surreal. It feels very 28 Days Later to look at Times Square and see it empty, empty of people. And you remember the opening of 28 Days Later? The guy is like walking across London Bridge, and it's unpopulated. Yeah. And the thing that, it's like when you watch that movie, the reason it feels unnatural is because cities are meant to be teeming with people. Yeah. And New York right now is like a very strange ghost town, which is very weird.
Right. I can only imagine. I was going to ask you, Times Square. That's pretty much. New York's pretty much a ghost town right now. Everyone's in. Yeah. Or if everybody's in. Or like you said, they got the face mask on, their gloves, and they're going to where they need to go and get back in quick.
That's right. That's right.
That's crazy. There's people around here.
Weirdest.
It is, ain't it?
Yeah.
Here in Daytona, there is people that's walking around with the mask on, with the gloves and everything. Pretty much, it's at night when I go outside my side door to let my dog out.
Mm-hmm.
I usually hear a lot of traffic about 9, 10 o'clock at night. I can walk outside right now. I don't hear nothing.
Yeah.
I don't hear nothing.
Wow.
Yeah, the first night of lockdown on we've been locked down since April 3rd. That night at midnight, I walked outside. I sat out there. I looked around. It was like you can hear like a pin drop. I'm like, really? At this time, you can hear a lot of stuff going on, but nothing.
Yeah.
That's like, wow.
Man, that is surreal to me because the last time I was in Daytona was early last year. And it's just a happening place. I mean, like, there's just a lot going on. Mm-hmm. So it's very weird to me to think of Daytona as being able to hear a pin drop. I mean, that blows my mind.
Yeah, and just what you said about Times Square. Times Square is always busy. New York's the city that never sleeps, and it's like a ghost town.
Sure.
That's crazy. That is crazy, man.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
It is. I said to a friend a while back ago, I said, I wonder how many movies after this is all, we get through this all, how many movies that are going to be coming out based off of the COVID-19, man.
Oh, yeah.
The market's going to be flooded with a lot of movies because as soon as they're like, you could get back out there and do what you could do, people is going to be like, I was like, well, I was in quarantine. I wrote this script for this COVID-19 movie. You know, it's like, what's the odd basis? Because there's so many scenarios, there's so many stuff that you can actually do. I know a filmmaker down here in Tampa, and she was she put a post out there on social media, and she said, I'm thinking of writing a dark comedy or a romantic movie about two people in quarantine. And I'm like, that would be cool, just because you can go so many directions. You know,
it's bound to happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that it's going to inform a lot of stories.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way it can't. It's just like it's like an event that's changing our lives, you know? So there's no doubt that like stories will come out of this. It'll be riveting.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned about watching Netflix. Next time you're on Netflix, look at what movies are trending. I had to laugh during the first time I got when I was looking at what movies are trending. It's like Outbreak, The Flu, just Contagion. Quarantine. I just like, you know, all these like disease, flu like movies are just trending because people's watching it.
Oh yeah.
You know? They're sitting at home watching this, and then they turn on the news, and that even makes it worse. So they're like,
"Oh yeah, no man, yeah." I mean, all those movies. I don't know, like the last, you know. I mean, I was in New York for 9/11, and like I had no interest in watching any of the 9/11 movies that came out afterwards.
Yeah.
So like, I'm kind of living it right now. I don't really want to watch Contagion.
Yeah.
But maybe after all the shit is over, like then we can process it and like look at some of this stuff. But right now, I'm perfectly happy to just watch some kung fu, you know, and some aliens and shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I totally agree with you that like there will be so many. I mean, like all the movies and all the books and all the stuff is going to be informed by what we're going through right now. I mean, there's no way it can't be.
Yeah.
Which I think is great. I mean, it's like if people can use the crazy shit that's happening in our lives and inform their creativity with it, I think that's got tremendous value. I think that's important. I've always felt that, even when we're not in a international crisis, you know, even when it's just like you're dealing with something in your personal life, that's going to inform the work that you do no matter what. Right. So with something like this, it's going to inform that stuff on a massive scale. And I think that's good. I think it's like movies allow us a way to deal with the stuff that we're going through in our lives. And I think that's important.
It is.
Like A Quiet Place is a movie that I'd be totally into watching right now. I mean, when people watch A Quiet Place Part 2, they're going to be watching it having experienced coronavirus. I'm sure it'll change the way that they look at that movie even.
Yeah. Yeah, because that movie actually, I think it was supposed to come out last month, and they pushed the release. They pushed it ahead with a lot of releases. But one of the things I thought was great was when everything started going bad with, I don't even know if I should use that word, when everything started going and turning like it is.
Yeah.
What was it? Disney Plus went ahead and put Frozen 2 on. They're like, yeah, we're supposed to release this next week, but let's go ahead. We're going to release it this week, to give someone to watch. And then that movie with, I forget her name. She played Peggy Olson on the show Mad Men. That movie Invisible Man.
Invisible Man. I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen it.
Great.
Yeah, it looks great. Yeah, man, that trailer looks freaking awesome, and she's a great actress.
Great actress.
Yeah, she's a great actress, and that movie was supposed to come out, and they went ahead and just released it on demand. They're like, it's not even going to theaters. Here you go. We're putting it on demand for you because of of everything, the pandemic. And I believe Pixar had another movie that ended up just going straight to it.
I think so.
Yeah.
Invisible Man, that's something I should watch now. That would be a movie I would want to watch during this pandemic because we can't see the virus, it's out there trying to get us. We can't see the Invisible Man. He's out there trying to get us. And that movie just looked awesome. Yeah. Really well directed. The trailer, but as you said, blew me away. Yeah. It's definitely one of those I'm going to totally check this out. Again, now that I have time, I have no excuse not to watch Invisible Man.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check that out because that looked freaking great, man. And just I saw an article where AMC theaters may be filing for bankruptcy.
I know, that breaks my heart.
It does, man. Because someone mentioned to me years ago, they said the future of movies will probably be you just sit at home and they release them and you order them. And it's almost coming to that with a few things. But I enjoy going out to the theater and seeing it.
Going to the theater.
Yeah. I do too. And then it's just, they can't take that away, man, because it's not the same. It's not the same.
Yeah. Think about watching a great horror movie with an audience that's all into it. Then it becomes this amazing group experience.
Yeah.
I remember the great experiences I've had with audiences, in the movie theater. I would never want that to go away. Mm-mm. So, AMC, it's terrible what they're going through right now. It's really sad, but I for one, like you, I hope the movie, the theatrical experience doesn't go away. Yeah. Because it's a very different experience watching something at home versus watching something with a group of strangers, Mm-hmm. And when you're watching something with a group of strangers and you're all being affected by it, that's a really powerful, awesome experience. And then seeing something on a big, gigantic screen, you got big plasma TVs right now, but it's not the same thing as seeing something so large in front of you, mm-hmm. which is kind of epic, Yeah. I hope for the best with that stuff and hope that when we're on the other side of this thing, there's still the theatrical option, for a way of seeing a movie. Yeah. Yeah. I love that experience because nothing takes that away. Because that's right. When you have that experience and you're in a crowd and you get to laugh, especially with comedies. When I was a kid, I went and seen the first 2 Home Alone movies in the theater. I remember going back and seeing the first one and the second one, I believe, a couple times. But both times I went to see first and the second one, the theater was packed and everyone was laughing and just enjoying the movie with just everything that was going on in that movie, and you got to experience that, and it felt great. And with the experience something with a live audience is something that it's very special.
And if with AMC, I was like, really? I was like, this sucks. It's almost like Blockbuster going away, man. It's like, no.
It's like Blockbuster again, yeah. I hope AMC hangs in there, but it is tough. I can only imagine like how fucking terrible it is for them right now. The financial hit that they're taking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're taking a hit, and I hope they get through it. I do. I hope they get through it, and I hope, like everybody else, with everything that's going on in the country. I mean, with sporting events, same thing. No crowds. Wrestling. I'm a big wrestling fan. Watching a WWE Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown with no crowd is just those performers feed off the crowd. And
I was talking to friends of mine who watch wrestling, and they were saying how weird it was.
Yeah,
how completely unnatural it is to like have these just. Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine watching professional wrestling without an audience. It's just like the audience is like 90% of. I mean, you realize that the audience is 90% of it, and like they're playing to all their energy comes from the crowd, and they're playing their personas to the crowd.
Yeah.
Without the crowd, it's just like it's
nothing.
Like nothing. Yeah.
It's nothing. But a lot of the talent that's in WWE right now were at one point were in the independent wrestling circuit, and a lot of times when they were starting out, they maybe did a show where they had probably like 10 or 20 people, and
wow, okay,
and you can tell which ones that know how to perform and put on a match and pretend, I got a crowd here watching me, and compared to like other ones that have not went through that, and it's hard for them. But it's weird, man. It's just weird.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there. It's like, where's the crowd? Because I want to hear the boo. Yeah.
Oh right. Yeah.
It's like you don't hear that. It's like I'm not going to sit here at home with my own voice thing. Like a crowd. But a lot of people are finding ways to pass time, whether, like you said, with music, movies, or we talked about video games, or just they're doing something. And I would say just you got to keep your mind busy, and you can always find something. And like you mentioned, you can find a way to bring something out creative. And you sent me earlier today the video of the Edgar Allan Poe with the actors and actresses reading it, the bells. I loved it. You saw what I wrote. I was like, wow, moving, and it felt powerful at points, man. It just
cool, man.
It was great. I enjoyed it, and I liked it. I checked out a bunch of books in high school of Edgar Allan Poe. I loved it. Oh yeah, I loved reading his. I loved reading his.
Yeah, creepy as hell.
Yeah, creepy, but very, very creative with his writing and his poems. I love that. Robert Frost, I loved a lot of his poems too back in high school.
Yeah, I remember. My grandfather used to like reading Robert Frost poems, and we had all these like woods and trails and paths behind the house and everything like that. And Robert Frost always reminded me of where I grew up. It always just kind of reminded me of the woods behind the house, and like walking around out there and stuff like that. So when I think of Robert Frost, I think about where I grew up, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I had to do a book report one time in high school, and I decided to do it on a book of poetry from Robert Frost, and I ended up getting. I remember I got the grade. I don't know what I wrote about though, but I must.
Whatever you wrote worked.
Yeah, I got a B. I got a B on it, and my reading teacher's like, "So you like Robert Frost?" I'm like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Okay." Are you sure you want to do this? I want a creative approach to this. You got it. And I turned something in, and I remember getting a B. So I did something right.
There we go. Yeah,
I did something right. Have you have you found any time to pick up anything to like go through and read? Have you done any reading or on anything?
Yeah, let me see now. What was I reading? I was reading a book about slavery from a guy named Frederick Douglass from the 19th century. That was a pretty good read. It was just one of those books that was sitting on my shelf for years.
Uh-huh.
And now that there's nothing to do, I was like, well, I have plenty of time to read the books that are just sitting there right now.
Yeah.
So I picked up that one and gave it a read. That was really good.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are all these like crime novels from the Midwest that arrived in a care package. So it's like all these sort of murder mystery books and stuff like that I think I'm going to start reading pretty soon.
Nice.
Yeah.
I picked up a while back ago. I picked up about a couple books. I picked up Ready Player One. I picked up the book.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I have not read the book. I've seen the movie. I love the movie, but I've not seen. Yeah. I've not read the book yet, and I found I didn't know they had a book based off of it. I saw the movie too, and I loved it. It had Jack Nicholson in it. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh, that's great too. No, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's. Yeah, two very good books. Yeah, like if you read those back to back, you'll be highly entertained for a while. Ready Player One like puts you into this total sci-fi world.
Yeah.
And One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is just a great story. You know, like it's a really moving story. I mean, the ending of that one always gets me. It's really haunting.
Yeah. Yeah. The movie, I remember the movie watching that, and I love Jack Nicholson's performance in it. And
so good.
It is so good, man. And I didn't know they made a book, and I found the book, and I was like, really? And the book's like this thick, and I picked it up, and I'm trying to I picked up another book too, which I saw the movie. It was done by one of my favorite directors, David Fincher. You probably know which one when I mention it.
Fight Club.
Not. I mean, that's my favorite. Yeah, that's my favorite movie of all time. I have the book. That's one of my favorite movies David Fincher directed and did. Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Oh shit! I've never read that book. I saw the film.
I saw the film. The film is dark and gritty, and I was like, man,
and gritty and all fucked up.
Oh,
but there's like three books. There's like three books or something, you know. So once you read Dragon Tattoo, you can just keep going into the darkness, you know. Like those books are pretty fucked up, I hear.
I heard. So I decided to take a stab at it, and I picked up The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I think it's The Girl Who Played with Fire and The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest. Those are the next two in the trilogy, which I just found the first one. But I loved how David Fincher. I loved Seven. I loved how he directed Seven.
Yeah.
And then when he did Fight Club, just my favorite. The book's a little bit different from the movie. If you've ever read the book,
I have read Fight Club, and it's very different. I love the film. You know, I think the movie like nails it with like great ending. I mean, the twist got me. You know, and I was not. I mean, like it was. I love that movie. It didn't go the way I expected. You know, I thought it was going to be an underground fight movie. Mm-hmm. And then it goes so far beyond that, you know, into like wild territory. I mean, amazing! Like what a mind fuck of a film that is.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's one of those mind fuck movies that you think it's going one way, and then it takes you off this way, and you're like, what?
Yeah,
I didn't see that. Yeah,
oh, it's really good.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, you know, and then once you know the twist, when you go back and watch the movie, it's a totally different experience. But I didn't see the twist coming, and I was very pleased. You know, I thought they handled it. Like Fincher just told that story really well.
Yeah, if you noticed Fincher. He does those. From what I've seen from him, he's done those like just like dark undertone type feel movies and stuff. And it's just he pulls it off so like beautifully, you know. Mm-hmm. And it's just I don't just how he approaches those type movies. And of course, with the big twist and stuff and everything. I mean, when I watch A Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, that was hard for me during that one part when she had the guy there and she's like, just.
Oh, it gets rough.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm like, holy shit. My wife walked in the room because I borrowed the movie from a friend. So she walks in the room. First, she looks over and she's like, "What the fuck you watching?" I like the girl with the dragon tattoo. She's like, "I thought you were watching some kind of bondage porn film," and she walked out.
Oh yeah, it gets really dark.
Yeah.
That scene in particular is so messed up.
Oh God, yeah. That part right there gets messed up there. But talking of Fight Club, Brad Pitt, Edward Norton, Meatloaf, just a great cast there.
Oh, yeah.
And
really good.
Helen Bonham Carter. I mean, just great.
Yeah, I remember when that movie came out. I hadn't seen Helena Bonham Carter doing anything like that. I always thought of her as like, drinking tea in a corset or something like that, and then to see her playing the cigarette smoking goth girl, I was like, wow, man, she's got way more going on than I thought she did. So really good. Yeah,
she played that character really well, and I liked Brad Pitt. I liked him in that. I like it when he went up there and he didn't go get her and stuff. And she's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna kill myself." And she walked up there and she's like, "Who are you?" And then she takes her out of the apartment there, and she's all messed up. And the cops come and they're like, "Please," it's like, "You have a lot to live for." It's just, I love that scene how she's getting him out of there, and she's laying up against the wall, and he's sitting there, just he's so like his just personality is just like so over the top.
Totally.
Yeah, I love that. I just love those type of movies there with the over the top characters with the dark undertones. It just attracts me to that. I mean, it's just fantastic. But wow, so much going on, and I've been wanting to get you back on here for quite a while here. I wanted to get you back on, and it's good that you're safe, you're quarantined, and
you're safe too, man.
Yeah, since I got more time on my hands now. Today, my wife said we need to go to the store, or what are we having for dinner? And I was like, well, didn't you say you're gonna fix some pasta tonight? And she's like, well, what about fast? I was like, no. She looked at me. She's like, what? I was like, no. I was like, I'm not going out. I said, I'm only going out if I have to grab something, and I'm coming back in. I said, think of me like this. You know how you get the dog in the doghouse outside, and you come out and you give him his breakfast? He'll come out, grab the breakfast, go back in. You don't see him for a few hours, and then when you bring him lunch, he'll come back out, grab the lunch, go back in. I said, that's me. I need something. I'm going to go back out. I'm going to grab it. I'm going to pull it back to my cave. And that's where I'm going to stay. When they say you can come out, it's like Groundhog Day, I'm going to come out.
Man.
That's basically it. But I got plenty to do here in the house here. I got plenty to do. Like I cleaned my floors today, and I mopped. I do that. Yeah. Well, I do that at least twice a week, and I do it on certain days. And I'm like, you know what? Because my wife's like, "What are you gonna do today?" I said, like this morning when I woke up, "What are you doing?" I said, "Drinking my coffee. I'm gonna update some stuff on Podcasting Network, see what's going on, and then I'm gonna clean the house." And she's like, "Okay." So, yeah, I did what I said. She took a nap, got up, and she's like, "Heard you running the vacuum earlier." I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "The floor looks great." I'm like, "Thank you." She's like, "I heard you jamming out the Queen earlier." I said, "Yes, I was." I said, when I get into stuff, I gotta have music, man. I was cranking it. I was cranking the sword, I was talking about, and she's like, and I was looking at the trimming. I said, "Tomorrow, I think I'll tackle the trimming." She's like, "Okay." I was like, I'm putting myself on a schedule, because if when I do get called to go back, I don't want to be not on a schedule. But if because I'll fall into a routine.
So important.
Yeah.
So
you fall into a routine and it's hard to break. So I don't want that to happen.
Right.
So I just want to stay the same, not unless something dramatic happens. But until then,
man, I hear you.
Yeah, but I'm glad you're doing all right, and you're
thank you.
finding a lot of things to do, and
one day at a time.
Yeah, one day at a time, and I'm looking forward to seeing everything that you have planned that's on halt right now, and I think it's really creative what you're doing with what you shared with me with the bells, and I love it, man.
Well, thanks, man. Well, yeah, we'll see where we're at when we're on the other side of this thing, where we can return to normal and get back to work.
Yeah. And it's straight. It's hard for me now, because when doing a podcast, doing a show, I usually, before I ask my guest, I said, "What upcoming things do you have going on?" And it's like I gotta change it up now. It's like I really don't know what to say. I guess I gotta create something like on the spot. We'll say, Jeremiah, when do you probably look forward to getting back on track? What is your prediction? Throw a prediction out there.
We'll see when it happens, May, June, whatever it is, Until then, I'm just going to keep inventing stuff. I'm going to keep finding stuff to do. And I'm just going to keep creating content until we're on the other side of this thing. So I'll leave it with, let's just take it day by day, keep making our content, and I'll see you on the other side.
Okay. All right. I love it. And thank you for coming on tonight. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, man. It's always great talking to you.
Oh, it's always great. Where can people keep up with you and see your amazing posts and stuff that you put out on social media at? Where can people find you?
Well, I'm on Facebook and Instagram. Pretty easy to find. Just type in my name, Jeremiah Kipp. Jeremiah is a pretty rare name, so I'm pretty easy to find. And then my website is kippfilms.com. So, but Facebook and Instagram, I post every day, so people can find me there.
Nice. Thank you so much. And before I do close out this podcast, I do want to mention that, not that right there. There we go. I keep clicking the wrong thing. You can keep up with more Everett Lee Show on podcasting.net, your top source for independent podcasting. You can find Everett Lee Show over on Podcast City Network's website, podcasting.net, Facebook, Podcast City Network, and Twitter at Podcast City Net. And you keep up with video portions of this podcast and other podcasts on Podcast City Network's YouTube channel, Podcast City Network. And follow and keep up with Podcast City Network right here on twitch.tv/Podcast City Network. Everett Lee Show right here on Facebook. Everett Lee Show. Click that thumbs up and follow. Twitter, you can follow me at the Everett_Lee. Instagram, Everett Lee Show, and audio portions of this podcast and previous release podcast over on the YouTube channel for Everett Lee Show, Stitcher Radio, iTunes, and Podbeam. And ladies and gentlemen, that is it tonight for the Everett Lee Show. Everett Lee signing off. Have a good night. We'll see you again next week for another episode of the Everett Lee Show.